Hi and welcome to week 20 of my wildlife year. Cannot believe we've actually reached week 20, or that I've reached week 20, that I've actually managed to keep this up. So this week it's been a bit of a strange one. Some of my plans haven't come off, but that's because things happen. But some things did happen as planned. Midweek I did take part in a radio interview with TD9 Community Radio, which you'll hear later on. And I ended up not once but twice going to the school for wildlife rescues on Monday and Friday. So you just never know what's going to happen. And a couple of other things happened as well, so I won't talk any longer. Let's just get on with my wildlife year, week 20. Enjoy. Right, I'm just walking down with, oh, that's quite a nice effect there, a mouse in the, that's a very nice effect there in fact. It's now cleaning itself. A mouse is turned up in the humane trap in the kitchen, so I'm just walking down to one of my release sites to let her go. It's a female. So I thought I wasn't going to record me taking her out of the trap and that, because you've seen that enough times in my wildlife here. But I've made the mistake of just throwing on a hoodie, and it's actually a wee bit on the chilly side. Just let her go. On you go. There she goes. I found a queen common wasp on the floor of the church on Sunday morning, so I right before the church service, so I just took her out quickly in a bit of paper and released her somewhere safe. Well, it's Monday. It's a bit dreary outside. I've just had a call to go along to the school about an injured bird. To tell you the truth, I was actually expecting it to be a fledgling, but it is actually a injured blue tit. It was found on its back, and he actually thought it was dead, but then it was moving, so he sat it upright, but it seems to have an issue with its leg. So I'm just going to transfer it over to a cage and give it a once over and see what's wrong with it. So here it is, there it is in there. So pull it up one, take it down there. My hand, put it in here. Now, seemingly it had something wrong with one of its legs, but it's looking okay at the moment. But once it goes down, I've got some water and some food in there for it. I've also got some live food if it wants it. A few mealworms, live mealworms, got some dried mealworms, and also some crushed peanuts. But I'll just leave it to settle somewhere nice and quiet and dark, so that I can assess it properly without stressing it too much. I've assessed it and it's fine. I think it might just have actually been a collision with a window. It might have hurt itself, but it's moving about fine. Its legs are working fine, so hopefully it's able to fly okay. I'm just going to take it for release. I put it in this little container here. I'll just close the door over. This little container here, and I'll take it for release. Right, so I've got the blue tit here, just come up to the school, so I'm going to release it. Hopefully it's going to fly. There we go. Excellent. Flying away. Brilliant. This plant here is Solomon's seal, and I've been keeping an eye out for. Just try and get it. That there, it's a sawfly. It's a Solomon seal sawfly. It's the first one I've been waiting on them arriving. Basically, Solomon seal sawfly lays its eggs in Solomon seal, and the larvae, little caterpillars, come out and, well, devour quite a lot of this over the next couple of months. After nothing for a few weeks, I've had 2 mice in the past few days, and now a bank full. So I'll get it out, sex it, and then take it for release. I think I've found how to get Dexter to walk nicely beside me. It's just carry a bowl. I've tied Dexter up over there so that he doesn't try and eat the bowl, and I'll let it go in here. Oops, there she goes. Ow, I just got stung by some nettles. That's my first nettle sting of 2021, I think. Sometimes I like to go out with my bat detector and listen to the echolocation of the bats, but sometimes I just like to go out and enjoy the aerobatics of the bats whilst I listen to the dusk chorus from all the birds. But other times, I do like to go out and listen to the echolocation with my bat detector, as I did here. Hi, welcome to this little section. It's not really a review section, it's just something that I want to share with you to maybe encourage you to a reason to join the Mammal Society. I've been a Mammal Society member for many years, and one of the benefits you get from it is 10% off any Mammal Society books that you order through NHBS, the National History Book Service. So things like they do books on individual mammal species such as badger, and also bats are maybe not a species, of course bats, there's several species of bats, but mammal groups. So you've got bats and badgers. They also do other ones like that, but some aren't just about individual animals or groups of animals. There's also this, the live trapping of small mammals booklet, which is the Bible if you're going to go small mammal trapping. It is really excellent and has so much information in it. And another one is, it's got an owl on the front, but that's because it's to do with owl pellets. It's the analysis of owl pellets, and this gives you how to identify skulls, but also other things like sexing mammals from their pelvis, and lots of other information as well. So if you join up to the Mammal Society and then go along with your membership membership number to NHBS website and order some Mammal Society books, you'll get 10% off. So it's quite a good deal. Just up at one of my wife's churches, getting ready for it reopening for the first time since the first lockdown, and I've just found this poor dead bat. I knew it's been there for quite a while, you can see. I knew there was bats in the church. Unfortunately, this one hasn't made it. It's obviously got stuck in here at some point. Not sure how it got in. It obviously never came through the window because it's actually got double glazing in front of the single glazing, and there's nowhere else in here. So it must have come through that door. Got stuck in the church and come through that door. I keep meaning to come up to this church and have a look at where the bats are, and find out where the roost is. Maybe I'll do it in the next couple of weeks. Just out a walk with Dexter and come across this latrine pit, large latrine pit. So we have to have a look out for more badger activity around here. I was keeping my eye out for badger prints, but I've actually found roe deer prints. Still having a look to see whether there's any badger about. I don't see any. I was just saying to my wife the other day that there hadn't been any, well, very many bees stuck inside the house like compared to last year, and lo and behold, it looks like a female red mason bee. In fact, yep, I can see the facial horns, so it is. So pop it in that tub and release. So, don't know whether you can see as it's walking round those little facial horns. I've popped her out onto my hand. So she's just... there she goes.
Graeme Ford, TD9 Radio.
And as promised, we're now going for a wee walk on the wild side. If you're into your nature, well, we're going to meet up now with Graeme Wilson. Good evening, Graeme.
Good evening, Graeme.
Good evening, Graeme. This is got a confused listeners in the end, so there's Graeme and Graeme on two ends of the phone. Now, I guess the first question being, how did you get involved in the sort of nature side of things?
Well, I've been lucky in that I always wanted to work in wildlife. So since my degree was in sort of like environmental stuff, and then I've always worked with wildlife or within the wildlife sector, but it goes right back. My first memories is when I'm probably about 4 or 5, was gathering some worms, and I had a wee ride on tractor. I can't remember ever riding on the tractor, but I had a wee trailer with it, and I remember putting worms in that trailer, and that's my first wildlife memory. And it just all grew from there. So earthworms are where it all came from.
I can remember as a kid with the primary school going to the river, and we were catching like frog spawn and stuff like that, and you sort of like dipped the bucket in the water, brought it out, and you wouldn't believe all the different things that was in the water at that time. Is that the kind of things that you get involved in, Graeme?
Oh yeah, I mean I've always done, no matter what job I've been in, there's always been some sort of like wildlife education in it, and I like nothing better than getting out. So like, doing mini beast hunts with kids, or pond dipping, or just sort of like, getting them. Owl pellets, that's another great one. If take apart an owl pellet and look at all the bones that are in it, and it's a bit like I always tell kids, and some of them will go, ooh, I'm not doing that. And within 5-10 minutes, they're right in there looking at the bones going, Graeme, what's this bone? What's this skull? It really gets them interested.
And living in the Denholm area, I mean, did he move to Denholm? And was it a case that when he moved to Denholm, you began to explore, which then helps you be able to tell the stories to others? Yeah,
I mean, we actually moved to Denholm about 2.5 years ago. My wife's actually the minister at the churches here, around here. She's got five of the buildings that she's a minister at. And when I moved to Denholm, I thought, brilliant, this is sort of like, there's a lot of wildlife here. And then since then, it's just get more and more. I just sort of like, I keep finding new things all the time. And, I just sort of thought, this is brilliant. And I have to actually admit, when COVID came along, and sorry to be a bit down on things talking about this sort of like lockdown, that, but for me, it was brilliant for me to have so much wildlife around, because I spent sort of like last summer, just learning, some new skills. I've learned how to identify social wasps. Not everyone's favourite creature, but there's several types of wasp, and I learned how to identify some of them, and I also got into moth trapping and learning how to identify moths, all the different moths. So I put my moth trap out, identify them, and then release them. So wildlife really got me through that, and then I decided, that I needed a challenge because I've set up a couple of projects. So that's where we are now. In this year.
Yeah, and I guess the fact that you moved to a new area, has this educated you by way you seeing different species, different things? And was that the sort of spark that we're coming on now to talk about this your year in a life diary?
Yeah, I mean it was really I started finding seeing new things, because although I've been living in the borders since nearly 25 years now, but moving down to Denholm, I started to see some new things, because I'd moved from near Westrother, sort of like just on the edge of Berwickshire, so we're quite a bit further south, and also it's different. I'm near a river, whereas up there, it's really just streams because you're a bit higher up. So I was seeing new stuff, and that really sort of caught my imagination.
What's been your biggest surprise?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, it's probably this year. One of the things that got me most excited was a couple of months ago was seeing a little egret. They're like a small white heron. Now they've been in the UK for I think about 20 odd years, and they have moved further north, and they are found further north than this, but they're usually found on coastal areas. So I was really pleased to see them sort of like on the TV this far inland, and it really got me excited.
And your video diary, I got a chance to watch this just over the past week. Simon Watson, for our Tuesday night show, he put me onto yourself and sent us one of the links to your video. And they're really fascinating, but I guess even more fascinating for kids.
Yeah, I mean, I do it for all ages, obviously, but I mean, I just decided, I've called it My Wildlife Year, and I just decided that, I'd record little snippets of what I get up to during the week, and then, as I said, it started with every Friday or Saturday, but it's turning out it's more of a Saturday. I upload it to YouTube and also into Instagram, IGTV, and just let people sort of share it. And the range between sort of like, I think 10 minutes has been the shortest and 40 minutes has been the longest. It just depends what I get up to. But I like to sort of like, teach people sort of like, things that they give people ideas of what they can do, help them identify wildlife, maybe, talk about some books that might be useful, or some equipment, how to use some equipment. And I just sort of thought it's actually something that I could share with others, but also push myself, because I've got no problem. I can get up talk in front of 200 people about bats or something, or, and some other sort of wildlife species. No problem. I'll get up and talk that. A wee bit nervous, but not too bad. Put me in front of a camera, and I get quite nervous. So this is actually taking me outside my comfort zone as well. And I think, looking back at some of the early videos of the year, I think I'm getting a wee bit better and more relaxed.
And I guess the fact that you're producing these videos at a time when people are watching YouTube videos at more and more, because they're kind of bored, but they're learning so much new things, they're getting involved in things. Another big aspect of this, I guess, Graeme, is folk are making more use of the outdoors, so you're giving them information when they're next to walking, they can actually identify the bat or the moth or whatever it might be.
Yeah, I mean, and I think it's also it's encouraging people to get some equipment as well, because I've had people approach me, and sort of like they've watched one of my videos and they've said, they've asked for some more information on a bit of equipment that I've used, so that they can find out a bit more themselves. And some people have also, got in contact and said, can you just tell me a bit about this? Because I've set up a Facebook page as well for my wildlife year, and a couple of people have got me contact through that and said, I found this in my garden, or I found this when I was out walking, can you tell me what it is? And that's something that I really enjoy doing, is sort of like the educational side of things.
And you'll be known as Batman at Denholm Primary School, then, is it?
Well, yeah. I'm known as lots of things. Batman's quite a common one. In fact, now wait, let me get this right. The 5th of November, the date sticks in my head. The 5th of November, round about the 5th of November, 2019, actually rescued a bat from Denholm Primary. It was the Brownies were in the evening because they use the school hall, and I was got a phone call from one of the Brownie leaders saying there was a bat in there, and when I went down, it was too high for me to rescue, to release it. But the following morning I went back, and the caretaker, Mr. Halfpenny, we were talking. They couldn't find the bat, and then I just noticed this wee hairy bottom sticking out from behind a sign for the fire exits, and there it was. So I took it, gave it some water, gave it some mealworms, gave it a test flight in the house, which my wife is never happy about me doing test flights in the house, but I've got to do it. And then took it that evening for release, and thankfully it went off and flew off that evening. So it's nice to have a nice wildlife rescue.
Yeah, and I mean,
story. In fact, I also got called to the school on Monday because they found a bird in its back, and I went along and it turned out it was a blue tit, and they thought it was injured because when it had been in its back and put it upright, it had fallen over. But I took it into care for a couple of hours, but I think it was stunned. I think it hit a window. So I took it into care for a couple of hours. It was fine once I assessed it. I gave it some peace and quiet and assessed it. So I could go back up to the school and released it. And it went off because I didn't want to keep it in care for too long in case it had young in a nest needing fed. So that's going to be featuring in this week's My Wildlife Year video.
I'm concerned that the word is out in the nature community that all the animals are making their way to Denholm Primary School just to star in your videos.
Yeah, well, I've put for the school. I'm making a video for them of various bits of wildlife that I've recorded, and over the past couple of weeks, over Easter, during Easter, and actually since then, I've been out recording stuff I found there, and I've already found that there's a tawny owl regularly hunts in the grass, one of the grassy areas in the school, and badgers regularly visit the school grounds at night.
That's amazing. That is amazing. So if somebody wants to start checking these videos out, how do they find you, Graeme?
If they just search for My Wildlife Year, it should pop up. I've got a YouTube channel, a Facebook page, a Twitter account, and an Instagram account.
Stuff,
and I've got that, and I've also got. I spell my name slightly different from yours, Graeme, but Graeme's Wildlife Project, and that's something else that I've started this year, if I've got time to say it. And that's I call them mammal track tunnels or hedgehog tunnels that people can borrow. I got some funding, so I've got 50 of them that people in the community, and not just in Denholm, but anywhere here in the local area, if they get in contact with me, can borrow one and put out in their garden, and it lets you see, and basically if a hedgehog or some other mammal is using it, they will leave their footprints behind. And I've also got 4 wildlife cameras. I've only got 4 of them rather than 50, but so there's might be a bit of a waiting list to borrow them, but you can also borrow a wildlife camera to record what's in there, and I'm hoping basically to produce a map by the end of the year of the wildlife that's been seen across the area.
That sounds absolutely brilliant, Graeme, and I think you just kind of help but enjoy the fact that kids' imagination, when they get stuck into this, they're just out, they're enjoying themselves, they're being inquisitive. What a great thing you're doing there, Graeme.
Yeah, I mean, I just love getting talking to the kids. some kids will always sort of like, you know, they'll normally, if you've got a group of kids, there'll always be some at the back that are going, oh, I'm not into wildlife. But if you start talking about something like slugs that are nice and slimy, or you start talking about poo and stuff like that, that always gets them in. One of my favourite facts is actually sort of like, you know, is about moles, and you know, and basically moles can't see very well. They use their whiskers to see when they're going forward, but when they're in their tunnel, they can also reverse. And they've basically used the hairs around their tail, the base of their tail, to feel where they're going. So I always tell kids, oh, it's their hairy bums. That's how they know where they're going, and that always gives them a laugh. You know, and then you'll start getting them involved. And if you give them either use a bit of humour or something that makes them go, ooh, that really gets their imaginations and gets them involved.
Superb. And I believe your wife is in trouble because she's chosen your song to play out of this interview.
Well, she said it was the obvious one, and I have to admit, we have actually seen him live a couple of times, so it made sense as well, especially with my love of bats.
That's brilliant. Right, so we'll play this song, and we'll put a link to your Facebook page up on our Facebook page. And I saw you sort of like TD9 earlier on today, so hopefully people can get in touch with this, and obviously if folk will get a chance to listen again to this interview if they've missed it. But all I can say, Graeme, is thanks for coming on board this evening, and I wish you all the best with a superb project.
Oh, thank you. And I have to say that my TD9 interview has been a pleasure, and it will be featuring also in my Wildlife Year Week 20 video. Brilliant.
That's great. And you can play this tune in the video as well. I'll let you introduce it, Graeme.
Right. I'm into bats, so it made sense to have Meatloaf's Bat Out of Hell.
All the best, Graeme. Thank you.
Right, so I'm heading back to the school again today. This time not for a blue tit, but an injured oyster catcher. So take it into care, give it an assessment, and see if I need to call anyone else about it, or if it's just needing some rest and recuperation. Go in and see. Well, I've picked it up. It's a young one. I've been told it's injured, so I'm just going to take it to assess it and just see, to take it home, because I obviously can't do that at the school, especially under current restrictions. I don't want to stay in the school for any longer than I have to, and so I'll take it home, give it a once over, and 3 things are going to happen. One is, if it's just needing a wee bit of care, I'll keep it at home. If it's actually okay, I'll see if I can actually get it back. It'll have been nesting up in the roof and just fallen off. Get it back up there, because seemingly mum is making a wee bit of a noise. Or third option is, if it's actually, you know, injured in some way and it's out with my area of expertise, let's just try to get out the box at the minute, then I'll take it I'll take it to a rescue centre, or get a rescue centre to come and collect it. So we'll just see when I get it back. Right, well, I've assessed it and the chick's fine, so I've no mum's still along there calling, so I've got a ladder set up, so I'm just going to take the chick back and take it up on the roof and get it back reunited with mum. As you can see, it's quite lively. One of the reasons it was actually taken into care by one of the cleaners at the school was because it was on the ground and there was crows and rooks and jackdaws and that attacking it, some of the local corvids. So, but it's, as you can see, walking about fine, so I'm going to take it to the school for release. I'm just coming up to the school. I have to put my mask on in a second, but I'm just looking for mum. She was in the roof of the school earlier, and also the roof of one of the buildings close by, so don't see her at the minute. Hopefully once the little one goes up, she'll come and find it. That's one of the pails across there. We've got, up on the thing, we've got someone calling over in that direction. Another one up in that. Try to see whether that's an adult. There's mum or dad there, and it's actually mum and dad are there. That's another young one over there. in there. So we'll pop this one here and off it goes to its brother or sister. So there's others. Mum and Dad are still flying around. Now I've got to go across this gully that's full of water to try and get back down the ladders. But brother and sister, or brothers or sisters, they're both up there. And there we might have seen why it's ended up off the roof. Don't know whether you saw it skid there. So hopefully we won't be back down. Well, we're finishing off My Wildlife Year Week 20 with something caught in the mammal trap. Well, I'm saying I'm finishing off unless something else happens before I start editing the video, but let's see what's in the trap. It's another bankful. So that's me in the past week and a bit. I've had 2 wood mice and 2 bankfuls. So I'll get this one out and see what sex it is. She's a young female, so I'll pop in the tub and take her off. Quite a feisty one. Right. I'll let the bankful go here. There she goes. Well, that's another week almost over, not quite though, because yesterday when I went through to visit my parents, who I hadn't seen for about 9 months, it was lovely seeing them. On the way back, just before I got back home to Denholm, here in the Scottish borders, I saw something run down the side of the road in front of me, and I thought, is that a cat? Is that a brown hare? No, it's an otter. It ran across the road into the field, and by the time I managed to pull in and get something out to take a photo or a video of it, this is all I managed to get. That tiny little thing in the middle of the photo is an otter. Believe me, it is, honestly. But do you know what? Yes, it would have been great to actually have something for putting in my video and that, but it doesn't really matter. That I experienced that and I saw it. I saw the otter, and and I'm able to share, that I saw an otter with you. So it doesn't need to be the perfect picture. Sometimes you don't need the perfect picture, the perfect video. All you need is actually the experience. So I'm hoping you'll have a good wildlife experience in the next week to come, and I'll see you for My Wildlife Year Week 20. Take care and stay safe.